films that Rita has restored. Several have appeared at the TCM Film Festival here. The Awful Truth, Holiday, Cocktail Hour. Following Rita, we're joined by Jenny He. She is the exhibitions curator at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. In addition to the upcoming exhibition, which you can see in September, she will be curating John Waters' Hope of Trash, which is coming in September. Jenny has curated exhibitions on Pedro Almodovar, animation filmmakers, and numerous special effects and artists at the museum. Jenny has curated over 30 film series and exhibitions at MoMA, New York, including the retrospective exhibition of Tim Burton, the third highest attended exhibition in the museum's history. So we have great people to put this picture in a little bit of context for you if you don't know it already. So let me invite up Rita. Please join us. Thank you very much.
I think he's with TCM.
Thank you to TCM and Charlie Tavish for inviting me here today to present A Man's Castle. It's a huge honor to be able to see a film that you've restored with an audience, and the TCM audience is fantastic. If you have seen Man's Castle before, you haven't seen what you're seeing tonight. The restoration really kind of was focused on the fact that the film had been censored over the years in actually two different instances, in 1933 and in 38. The restoration tries to return all of that footage, as much of the footage as we could locate, back to the film, and it's about 8 minutes of new material. The source material was the original negative, which was the best looking material that we had, and we had two other sources, a nitrate print and a nitrate dupe negative. All of the sources were pretty poorly, or pretty damaged, and had a lot of issues in them, not just being censored. And so, but the later two assets, the dupe negative and the nitrate print, were in extremely poor shape compared to the original negative. You'll see a little bit of fluctuation back and forth between some of those scenes because we were hoping to return even just some of the snappy dialogue that was cut. In some instances, it's just a quick line here or there. But I think that the restoration returns some really interesting performances from Glenda Farrell and Marjorie Rambeau, who were cut out in a lot of the footage that was eliminated. So it kind of gives an interesting perspective on the film to see that back in it. It's a little bit more well-rounded, and I hope you enjoy it.
So great to hear about the restoration you've done. So excited to see this world premiere with you tonight. As Dexter mentioned, I'm Jenny He, exhibitions curator at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. If you're not familiar with the museum yet, the Academy Museum is the global destination for movie lovers, and it's the largest museum in the United States dedicated to the arts, sciences, and artists of movie making. Through exhibitions, film screenings, public programs, and the Academy Museum podcast, we present many histories of filmmaking. Located on Wilshire and Fairfax, our gorgeous Renzo piano-designed campus features 50,000 square feet of gallery space, some of which I've had the privilege of curating. We have two state-of-the-art movie theaters, an education studio, the museum store, and restaurant. And we're so thrilled to provide an incentive for all TCM festival attendees, $5 off general admission tickets and 10% off of the museum store, lest I sound like a pitch person. I really want, before we jump into Man's Castle, we're really honored that The TCM Classic Film Festival has invited the museum team to join you this weekend. I'm especially excited to introduce tonight's screening of Man's Castle. Now, if you haven't seen the film already, I want to make sure to not divulge any surprises, but I would love to paint the setting for you. Man's Castle, it's directed by Frank Borzage, and it stars Spencer Tracy and Loretta Young. It released in 1933. This movie came out right smack dab in the middle of the Great Depression, which, as you may know, started in 1929 and it lasted about a decade until 1939. And while the Great Depression is never explicitly mentioned in this film, it is nevertheless the canvas for this story. And we all come to the movies to laugh, to cry, to love, certainly today, and no less so 90 years ago when audiences got lost for a brief moment in the dark in this movie. Here, the characters on screen were reflecting the audiences at the time, their own economic situations, which perhaps made this gripping story all the more powerful. Frank Borzage was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and he was about 39 years old when he made this film. Having started in the silent era, before this film, he had already directed 70 movies, including Seventh Heaven, which won him the Academy Award for Best Director. Borzage is known for his humanistic movies, and Man's Castle is no exception. It stars Spencer Tracy, who's about 33 at the time of this film. Less of a screen veteran than Borzage, Tracy had appeared in only 16 features at the time, I say only, and 16 features over the course of 3 years, from 1930 to 1933. His co-star, Loretta Young, was about 20 years old in this film, you'll see. But considering her career as a child star, she had already appeared in over 50 films by the time of Man's Castle. And I want to highlight 2 notes concerning this film's form and content. First, Borzage's treatment, his use of soft focus is instrumental in visually communicating this film's story. And as Rita mentioned, this film was made before the rigid enforcement of the production code. It was really enforced starting in 1934, and there are many elements in this film which would be censored under the production code. And I shouldn't be telling the audience this audience this, but you know, the Hays Code, otherwise known as the production code, was named after William Hays, who was the then president of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, the predecessor of the ratings that you see given to movies today. And when Man's Castle was re-released in 1938 to take advantage of Spencer Tracy and Loretta Young's stardom, much of the footage was cut out due to the stricter enforcement of the production code. So it's really great to be able to watch the original version of Man's Castle tonight with you, and especially the world premiere of this restoration courtesy of Sony Pictures. To echo Rita and Dexter, I so hope you enjoyed this film. Thank you.